I'm recording. Okay. So, I don't know if I need to introduce myself for this one. I'm McKenna Day. This is my final reflection, and I am deciding to do my final reflection over George Mead. He was my favorite theorist that we learned about in this class, mostly because about the reading we did about self, and I ended up reading a little bit more of his work. I really enjoyed reading about like the self just because of the way I interpreted it, that we are more than just an object of existence, of our entity. We are more than just a human on this planet. We are all our own. We are all our own person. So first, I will share my biological information that I have learned about Mead throughout this research study, and it was actually kind of interesting to learn about him. And then I will talk about more about his theoretical contribution, and then I'll identify and apply the concepts from his theory. Obviously, we have to have two, so I'll talk about two of them. And finally, I will share how sociological theory in general and Mead's theories in particular have changed the way I see the world around me and actually in myself. So to begin with, George Mead was born in South Hadley, Massachusetts on February 27th, 1863. It was kind of hard to find things on his childhood besides that he was the second child in his family. But what I kind of thought was really cool is that his family had moved to Oberlin, Ohio, where his dad was a chair in philosophy and theology, and that George Mead himself ended up going to Ohio's very own Oberlin College at the age of 16, where he received his bachelor's degree in philosophy. Throughout Mead's schooling, William James was Mead's biggest inspiration and influence, and a fun fact that I kind of learned about William James is he was the first instructor in the United States to ever teach psychology, which Mead ended up becoming interested in as well. So for Mead's master's degree, he attended Harvard, and I can't pronounce where he got his PhD from. Ledzig, what, I don't know. Led something. But he never actually finished getting his PhD because the University of Michigan offered him a position before he could even finish getting his PhD, which I thought that was kind of cool. Because, I mean, if you look at it now, there's no way you're going to be a professor at a college without a PhD, but I guess everything was different back then, and obviously he's a very intelligent man. He married his wife, Helen Castle, in the same year that he got his job at the University of Michigan in 1891. And something cool that I kind of learned about Mead is even though we have all these readings about him and books that he's written, while he was alive, he never published a book himself. He never actually did the publishing, the editing, or any of that. His students, after he passed away, actually went through and edited and published his 4 books, The Philosophy of the Present, Mind, Self, and Society, Movements of Thoughts in the 19th Century, and The Philosophy of the Act, which his students ended up doing, and it was actually individual students took part in doing so. But he passed away in Chicago on April 26, 1931, which, in fact, he died a year after my grandma was born. I don't know, I think that's fun, but it's kind of cool. And, so for the last 30 years of his life, he actually was a professor at the University of Chicago, and right before he died, he was offered a teaching position at Columbia, and he died before he could ever take the job. So that's a little background information on Mead's life. And I'm going to forgive myself right now. I'm doing this kind of like in increments just so I can organize my thoughts better and kind of stay on track a little bit better. So if there's like a little zzz, pause, that's what it's from. Sorry. So stay tuned for the little zzz, and we'll go on to the next part. Okay. So Mead's biggest contribution to sociology is still considered to be the theory of self. And the theory of self, sorry, I have my notes over here. The theory of self comes from the idea that the conception that like we hold of ourselves comes from our interaction of others and how others see us. And I don't know, I feel indifferent about that, but I like the idea because, like, if you think about it, like, I don't think of myself, I mean, I guess I do think of myself as an overachiever, sorority girl, athlete, very loud, because that's what other people tell me I am. I've never, like, if you put me down, I guess, without, it's weird. I love it, though. I love the idea that we are, like I said earlier, actually, I did my one activity over Mead's self, and how I'm more than just this entity. I'm what people describe me as, and I am what I describe myself as. Another part of the self that I thought was really interesting that Mead talked about, which makes it a more sociological theory, is that we are not biologically born like this way. Like, I wasn't born in the mind of an infant. I was like, I'm going to be an overachiever, I'm going to be loud, and the way we see ourselves and ourself in general is constructed and reconstructed over and over and over again over the years. So us ourselves continue to change, while I guess, like, who me being McKenna Day never changes, but myself does over the years and over what I hear over and over again. So to this day, Mead remains to be one of the foundational theorists for social psychology, action, and the sociology of the self, which, again, is his biggest contribution, is the study of the self and the way we see ourselves, the way others see us, and how that contributes to how we are. Yep. Okay, sorry, I'm looking at something real quick. Okay, so, like, the concepts that form, like, the idea of self, like, I guess I kind of talked about it when I was talking about the big picture. We are constructed of who we are by the way people define us, by the way we are perceived in the world. Like, say, last year, McKenna, the self of McKenna Day, actually, we'll go back to freshman year. I'm a senior now. Freshman year, McKenna's self was quiet, chemistry, lazy, didn't overachieve. Senior year, McKenna is graduating a year early from college, and she was supposed to kind of skip my junior year. Sorority girl, athlete, very loud, very happy. And that's how people see me. That's how I'm described as. That's the concept of this, is socially, we are socially constructed by ourselves. I get what people say about us and how we interact with others is how we define who we are as a person, is who we define who we are as a self. I guess that's how everyone is, though. I mean, if you think about it, trying to think. Like, think of, like, the best way to, like, describe this, even though it's like a movie and stuff, but, I mean, you see it in real life, like, even in high schools, but movies are a good example to use. Guess what? If you sit there and you call someone a fat, friendless, weird loser, guess who their self's going to be? And guess what they're going to believe, except how they interact with everyone. That's how everyone sees them. But if you tell someone you're so pretty and you're popular and everyone likes you and all the boys like you, guess what they're going to probably think of themselves? They might, I mean, granted, you might still be self-conscious, or you might still be the loser but still have a high self-confidence, but that's who you are. That is yourself. That is what you are as an entity. More than a human, you have all these characteristics about you that make you yourself. But yeah, those are, like, that's the best way to describe what's going on around me. Another concept that plays part in Mead's well, there it is. Another part that plays part in Mead's theory of self is the generalized orders we are put in, which, the better way to put it is, like, it's a group that people see us as. So, like, in high school you have cliques, in college you just have, like, your group of friends. Even when you're an adult, you still have a group of friends. It can be bigger than a group. It can just be a population of people, a society, a city, a town. People from New York are rude. People from California are very laid back. Stuff like that, even. So it's just that's called a generalized order, and that is how people outside of where we are see us. This is important because this is how we compare ourselves to one another, and this is important because this is how others compare themselves to others. This is how we make the comparisons of who we are to the people, and that helps building up yourself is, oh, I'm part of this group and I'm not part of this group, so that's saying I am this but I am not that. So the generalized order helps play a bigger part in the self as well. This study of like the self has actually kind of really impacted me in a weird way, because I read a lot more about it after doing the assignments and stuff and reading the part on Mead. It's made me a lot more conscious. It's made me a lot more conscious about how I think about myself, and it's actually made me a lot more conscious about how I describe others, especially to their faces, and more conscious about how I even look at other groups of people. Since yourself is based off your interactions with others, I don't want anyone to have a negative interaction when it comes to me. Mom, I'm doing homework. Sorry about that. My mom came down and interrupted me. I'm home for the weekend. But yeah, it's made me a lot more conscious about how I describe others, especially to their faces and to me. Just because that's how you build yourself. That's how you build yourself. And even if you talk to other people about another group, what you say is going to affect how other people look at that generalized order of people, or how they look at that other person. It's really impacted me a lot, to be honest, just in my social interactions with people and the way I look at others and the way that I want others to look at me. It's actually kind of made me very self-conscious in a way, to be honest, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know, but I think this says a lot about the world. I think everyone should read this. I think if everyone would read this, especially people in high school, I think this could actually be a very beneficial reading for high school students, and even just school-age students, even college. I don't care. Read it in your English class if you're in high school, if you're in college. Read it on your free time. I think, even adults, I think everyone should read this work. I don't know. I just think it's a very beneficial and very influential piece of work that everyone could benefit from, whether they read it or not. The more people that read it, I think, the more people will realize the impact they have on others. So yeah, my favorite theorist and my favorite theory to learn about was The Self by George Mead, and this has actually been a really wonderful class, and it's been a great online class experience. So thank you, Professor Anderson, for a wonderful first summer class, and for making it very flexible to be able to do all my work while still work 3 jobs. So I hope you had a great summer. I hope you're not too bored watching all these videos and reading all these papers, and maybe I'll see you around Bentley Hall. Bye.